Good morning and welcome to your Dharma Yoga Wheel practice. Let's begin in a comfortable seated position. Wherever you are, finding any cross-legged variations, just wherever you can feel comfortable. And of course, take any gentle movements if you want to tilt the pelvis forward and backwards, or even move the spine from side to side, almost like a snake, or you just roll gently through the shoulders, back and down. This is really just to find an awareness if there's any tightness, any pain, so that you can either move more carefully or even focus on that area with a little more TLC. So from here, the palms can face up or down on the knees or thighs, taking Yanamudra. We'll start with the eyes closed. And again, imagine you're plugging the tailbone down into the earth. So your sits bones, your butt bones are down on the mat. The tailbone is slightly tucked down. The navel slightly pulled in gently. And this helps to align the spine from the bottom all the way up. And the shoulders are pressing gently back. And you reach to the crown of the head. Proudly, with confidence, but with peace. Allow your attention to move inside now. With the two eyes closed, we can focus our attention on the body's sensations throughout the practice and allow the inner eye, the third eye, mind's eye, to open. Let the breath move naturally through the nose. Just starting to settle into this space, to the place of your practice. Again, being aware if there's parts of your body that feel tender or sore, that you will move gently with integrity for your body's benefit. Let's begin with the Om, 3 repetitions. Full breath in, merging together. Om. With the Om really begins the practice of yoga. Helps us bring this connection and intention to feeling expansive, connected everywhere. Slowly relax the hands, opening the eyes gently, and let's begin. We will start today warming up on the back with the wheel. So again, I'll do my best to give you options should you need to come out of the posture before going further. Let's start at the top of the mat, coming into our lawn chair variation, where we're sitting upright and pressing the wheel right to the base of the spine. So take a full breath here. And really feel you can relax the shoulders, lean back, and start to trust the wheel. This is almost like your first arch back, like a sun salutation. So just take it easy, just as anytime you need to. From here, you continue looking forward, relaxing through the shoulders. And let's start to warm up through the shoulder girdle, through the shoulder joints. Reach the arms forward and up. Let the breath happen naturally. You can stretch up, even slightly back if that's comfortable. Arms forward and down. 2 more. Reach forward and up. Allow the arms maybe to go next to or behind the ears. And arms come forward and down. And 1 more here. Find the breath. Lifting through the heart. Just stretch through the fingertips. Good. Letting the arms come forward and down. For this next one, feel free. You can sweep the arms out and overhead. So you feel an openness in the chest and the front of the shoulders. Palms face straight up towards the ceiling. And arms out and down. Remember, you can continue to look forward when you come up. Out and overhead. Maybe gazing up. No need to drop the head back. And out and down. Just once more. This is for the front of the armpits. Again. Good. And gazing forward. Now remember, if at any point you need to come back up because of the neck, you can just sit up and reset here. Let's move forward now, starting to rock and roll. Reach the arms either forward and up or out and up. Go ahead. And here, taking Kali Mudra, interlace the fingers, release the pointer fingers, but keep the elbows straight. If this is too much, just hold the back of the head with the elbows bent. Lift the seat gently and start to roll. Just rock and roll. It can be slower, it can be faster. And really, we keep the head away from the wheel. And we're just beginning to massage the back muscles. Now, as you continue this movement, feel free to continue holding the head with the hands or reaching the arms overhead for Kali Mudra. Go within. So just be aware if tension rises in the neck. Supporting the head if you need. Just exploring the back body. If this is really familiar for you, and you've worked with the wheel for a while, as you continue to rock and roll, you can even tilt the knees slightly to the right or the left so that you can start to target the muscles either on the right side of the spine or the left. Very, very subtle. Keep the balance. Good. Just taking a few more rolls here, noticing how it feels. Sometimes if this is already new for you, it can feel like the back is very rounded, coming away from the wheel. So we're just warming up so that we can start to really trust the shape of the back, arching around the wheel. Good. Let's continue here. So the next variation, you can bring the seat down, gaze forward, and again, bringing the lower back as close to the wheel as you can. So you're sitting down, the wheel is starting to nestle in the arch of the lower back. Sometimes you can bring your feet in a little closer as well. So here, just lift the bum off the mat a little bit. Feel that arch in the lower back with the wheel. And then slowly, we'll take the full body stretch. So stretch the arms overhead. Roll the wheel up between the shoulders, curl the toes, and feel the knees come beyond the feet. So the knees don't have to touch just yet, but this is the motion. Again, you can hold the head. But here you rock and roll, the wheel coming more towards the back of the neck. and starting to stretch through the fronts of the legs and through the toes. And the beautiful thing about using the wheel to warm up is that you have this pumping motion. So continue here. Just start to warm up through the legs, through the arms, and feel the wheel moving. Of course, if you feel more comfortable, you're a little more flexible in the fronts of the legs, it might be easy for the knees already to come down towards the mat as you continue this movement. Good. Slowly break the pose. Bringing the seat down. Let the arms come down. And we come into the beach chair. So now starting to support the neck by the wheel, with the wheel. And the same again. Notice if you can release any tension from the neck, from the shoulders. So many of us are looking down most of the day. So even just having this support is already opening through the throat and allowing the shoulders to relax. Let's sweep the arms forward and overhead. And you can have them come out and down. Reach out and up. And forward and down. Whatever feels best for the shoulders. Continue. Reach forward and overhead. Forward and down. Or out and overhead. And out and down. So again, you're trusting the wheel here. On this next movement, sweep the arms overhead, any variation. And here you can keep the arms separated, or you can take Kali Mudra. Either variation, the arms stay overhead. Now, keep the head on the wheel, press into the feet, and rock and roll between the shoulder blades, but keeping the head on the wheel. So you start to go back now, bringing traction in through the neck. Really massaging the tops of the shoulders. But there's one thing that you learn how to use the wheel for. If it's self-massage to release your neck and shoulders from the day of work on the computer, then of course, this is your movement. Now continue here, and if it feels comfortable, if you're able to extend the legs a little bit more, keep the feet planted and feel how you're using the hamstring muscles to pull yourself back, just gently. You're warming up through the backs of the legs as well. Good. Now from here, sitting down, let the arms come down. If at any point you just need to take a rest, this is your resting pose. This is the beach chair resting pose. Imagine you're just sunning yourself. Now, if it feels okay for the neck and shoulders to go a little further, go ahead. Sweep the arms overhead, bend the elbows, and hold on to the wheel. Fingers, including the thumb, inside the wheel so you don't roll over your fingers. And the elbows are not sticking out. You can see them both. Now, same as before, press into the feet. Allow the body to go up and over the wheel. And the elbows reach towards the mat. You might not have the elbows touch the mat, that's okay. but you bring more pressure now into the tops of the shoulders and the back. So go ahead, rock and roll here. Maybe feeling that you can stretch through the legs to get a nice bit of pressure in the upper back. Good. And of course, if it's really easy for you and you can bring the elbows down, go ahead, bring the elbows down and stretch the legs all in the same movement so that you can really get a nice full body opening with the front body. Just make sure those elbows are facing one another. You squeeze through the backs of the legs as you come back. Well, remember, if this is just a bit too much, you don't have to bring the elbows down. Go wherever you are today. And then slowly break the pose, bring the seat back down, and again, release the arms forward and down. Maybe rest the hands on the knees or thighs, or just down. Allow yourself to surrender, open the heart, the throat, just let go. Good. Now, if of course you feel comfortable and this is familiar with you, you can keep yourself just like this with the arms out to the sides, the head relaxed on the wheel, and you can roll the wheel all the way to the lumbar spine for the lumbar release. Just surrender, keeping that same open feeling for the front body. If this is still new for you, if that's not quite comfortable, then hold the head, sitting up, and again, start in that lawn chair. That's always a great way to reset. But wherever you are, bring the wheel right to the lumbar arch. So the lower back arch here. The feet stay down, the arms out to the sides, maybe just the top of the head to the mat. Again, if this is just too intense for the lower back, you can have the knees bent, but remain here. Close the eyes and notice how your breath in the belly and pelvic region can start to bring a little space, especially into the lower back here. This is a pose for stillness. Beautiful. Now, from here, remember, if ever you need to come back out, you can pull with the feet. You can always hold the head and just roll yourself comfortably back up to the lawn chair or the beach chair. But if it's okay, let's continue from here, from the lumbar release. Slowly tuck the chin towards the chest and bring the shoulders down to the mat for the supported bridge pose variation. Here you might reach the arms to hold the wheel. Maybe you might start off with the tippy toes down. Don't worry if the shoulders don't come down right away, but you feel pressure in the sacral region and breathing steadily. Now, slowly start to lift the legs up. You have the support here. This is a beautiful supported shoulder stand variation. The wheel underneath the lower back and the hands holding the wheel. Go ahead. The legs come straight up here. Now let's warm through the hips. These are really beautiful movements. Open the legs wide. Imagine you have a hula hoop between the legs. And keep the legs straight. And then draw the right toes to the bottom of the hoop, left toes to the top. Just feel that beautiful charge through the legs. You can point and flex the toes. And then open the legs out to the sides. Right toes to the hoop top, left toes to the bottom. Again, point and flex the toes. Just getting a beautiful charge to the legs. Let's continue. Open wide, one foot down, one foot to the top. Imagine you have a big circle and switching sides. Now you can go as slow or as fast as you like as you keep the legs straight, following this hula hoop shape between the legs. But notice the rotation that comes from the hip joint. Sometimes you can even go beyond the center, beyond the midline, evenly, keeping your balance. Close the eyes if you wish. Just taking the last few movements here. Good. Now, returning back through center, legs are wide. Now draw the legs down towards the bottom of the hoop, both at the same time. Keep them super straight. Maybe they come together and then up through the center. Again, open the legs wide. Draw them down to the bottom of the hoop together and forward and up. 3 more. Open, down together and straight up. 2 more. Feel the lower abdomen helping to control this movement. Good. And from here, open the legs wide. Draw them down towards each other. Feel the strength there as you hold. You feel the shoulders are still on the mat. You feel strength in the glutes. You're reaching the legs down, and then finally bend the knees. See if you can find the mat and return to that supported bridge pose. Notice any differences here. Maybe the feet can come down more flat, holding the wheel, or even interlacing the fingers outside the wheel, squeezing through the shoulders. Find a strong bridge pose here. Even releasing any tension from the lower back, from the glutes. Once you feel comfortable in the posture, the muscles create the structure and then the structure remains. All right, let's release now. Release the hands. And if you want to have fun, make yourself into a slide. Straighten the legs, reach the arms overhead, and you can slide yourself from the bottom to the top, bringing yourself back to a seated position. Wonderful. All right, from here, let's just loosen through any tightness that we may have kicked up. I like to believe that we just kind of opened up the spaces. So here, keeping the legs straight, we'll come into Dandasana. So staff pose, so flexing through the toes, sitting up straight. And if you feel really energized, I either bring the fingertips down to the mat, depending on how long your arms are. Sometimes it's the heels of the hands. If it feels okay, pull the abdomen in, and then lifting up just for a moment. Nice, strong fingers. And then when it feels okay, just keep the spine straight. Notice how it feels. Again, 90% of us people, we're living in a forward fold all of the time, whether you're sitting, whether you're working, whether you're texting. So just sitting up straight after a little bit of a back massage is improvement. It'll be really good, preventing hunchback in the future. Slowly bring the knees bent and slowly up and together. And again, keep that straight spine. On the exhalation, rotate to your right. Just hugging the knees. If you have the wheel behind you, you might feel that you can press the hand there. Just opening through that right shoulder. And feel both sits bones again, planted on the mat. Only if it's comfortable, the neck might rotate as well. And break the pose. Come back through center with a natural breath. The exhale helps you twist now to the left. Again, if you have the wheel behind, this just helps to emphasize. Beautiful. Coming back through center. All right, we'll warm up a little bit more deeply through the hips and the back before we take a strengthening posture. So bring the wheel in front of you. And we'll just start with one leg. So extending the left leg, flex the right toes, bring the outside of the foot onto the wheel. So we're preparing, this is almost like a variation on pigeon pose, preparing for that right hip. So wherever you are, you can flex the foot, you can roll the wheel, you can even pull the wheel a little closer if that feels more comfortable. So finding the angle that starts to feel good sensation in your hip. Here you pull the wheel, which really helps to lengthen the spine. This is all about getting good technique, good posture. So if this is enough, feel free to stay here. Again, you're using the biceps to help you stretch the body. Of course, if it's comfortable, you press the chest float forward, and you might even reach over or under the leg for the outside of the wheel. Continue to open through the heart. You don't have to go any further than this, but close the eyes and enjoy. Taking the last breath here, and then slowly making your way back up. And again, it's really nice. You just get a little movement here. You can massage the area comfortably. Remember, no pinching in the knee, focusing in the hip region. Start to extend now the right leg, and keeping just the one leg on the wheel, flexing and pointing the toes. And notice how it feels again, keeping the spine straight. This is how we get to notice any differences from one side to the other. There's often differences. So let's just tune into the right side, lifting through the spine. Again, if this is enough, you can stay here with the body upright. If it feels okay, you lead the heart forward, holding onto the wheel. And rather than pulling the wheel this time, it's almost like you take the thumbs and it's like you're pressing the wheel or rolling it slightly away, but the leg keeps you there. This gives you a nice openness in the leg, nice positioning for the body. Of course, if you'd like to go a little further, you can go ahead. And again, just take a few natural breaths here. Good, and gently looking forward and start to break the pose, lifting yourself back up. Nice. Now just for a little fun, see if you can bring the back of both ankles onto the wheel. Make sure your hips are in line with the wheel. This is just to reset. We'll do a reverse plank. Fingertips facing behind you. Finding a nice breath in, shoulders squeeze back, just lift the hips. A really great support for this movement. You squeeze the back body, you open the front body. Of course, if it's comfortable, you can relax the head back. Squeeze the back body and slowly break the pose. Bringing the hips down, and we'll do the same set on the other side. So the right leg comes down, we're flexing the left toes, then bringing the wheel close, working on the hip region. So same again, hold on to the wheel, massage through the hip, notice the angle that feels best for you today. And again, lengthen up through the spine. This is really good for creating good posture in your yoga postures. So same again, you can stay upright or slowly start to lead the heart forward. Maybe hold outside the wheel and take your time here. We're holding for about 12 breaths. And when you feel sensation in your body, go there with your attention. Find out what's going on inside. Good, again, taking the last round of breath here. And then slowly leading forward with the heart to come back up. And the same again, just start to extend that left leg. And just notice if your hips are misaligned, you can just move slightly over to the right so that it looks that the hips are straight. Just like before, you can flex and point the left toes, either staying upright, just using the fingertips for support, or you can slowly hold on to the wheel. Keep emphasizing that chest is lifting, and then maybe press the thumbs as if the wheel is going to roll away from you slightly. And that lengthens the back of the leg. And of course, just relax wherever you feel comfortable. Noticing any differences from one side to the next, taking the last moment here. And then slowly leading up by gazing forward and lifting up through the heart. All right, just like before, bringing both ankles to the wheel. Fingertips face back. So make sure this is, we set up properly here. So rather than just putting the hands down, fingertips facing back, squeezing the shoulders back, and reverse plank pose. Find the breath in. And just roll the wheel away to lift the hips. A really comfortable support for this pose. Really squeeze the glutes, squeeze the backs of the legs, squeeze the legs together. Maybe the head drops back if it's comfortable. Stay. Breaking the pose, bring the hips down and gazing forward. Just as a gesture, if you'd like to have both legs, taking one breath here, pointing and flexing the toes, maybe allowing the body to hinge forward. So notice how you feel now with both legs working together. Good. All right, break the pose. So next we're coming into our inversions. So bring the wheel closer to you. And then from here, come onto the hands and knees. So just a few getting upside down positions. So bring the hands onto the wheel, onto the hands and knees. The first inversion we do many times, downward facing dog. Curl through the toes, lifting the hips and pressing back. Already you can feel this is much easier for the body. It really helps to stretch now through the shoulders. So as you look forward, bring the palms face down on the wheel. It's almost as if you can move the wheel further away. This really opens more deeply in the shoulders and the chest. And then from here, come forward into a plank pose just for a moment. And the knees come down. So bring the wheel behind you now, between the feet, preparing for our headstand variations. You can do other variations on the forearms or the hands, but the headstand is a great practice run. So onto the hands and knees. We're going to use the wheel just as a support prop. So if headstand is new for you, that's perfect. Don't worry. Touching the elbows just to keep that same distance space, so never wider than forearm distance apart. Otherwise, you topple over. And make a gentle basket with the hands, not fists. Gentle basket. Bring the top of the head down, usually starting right about the hairline. Once you go over, you come onto the middle of the head. And once you're there, then go ahead. You can bring the tops of the feet to the wheel. You can see the wheel here. Press into the forearms, press into the elbows, strengthening through the upper back and shoulders. And again, if you're new to this, just start to press the feet on top of the wheel and lift the hips up. Sometimes you just do that a few times to feel more comfortable. And that's perfect. If it feels easy and you can roll the toes, you have the wheel as like a step. So if you have the wheel as a step, the tailbone is already over the top of the head. You might be able to lift up one leg, maybe switch the legs. Maybe you can keep the knees tucked towards the chest. Maybe you want to lift up one leg all the way. So here, using the feet on the wheel just as a support. So if headstand is new for you and you're working on using the wheel as a support today, continue there. Of course, if ever you need to come out, the knees come down, you sit back on the heels and rest. Now, if you'd like to take more active variations, if you've come out of your headstand, or if you want to come back in a more active way, learning how to float up, we take the same hand variations. We bring the tops of the feet and the ankles onto the wheel and extend back, more like a push-up position on the forearms. And then here you can roll and pike the hips straight up and down. This is a good core exercise. If you're working on floating up, you can do this core exercise. So wherever you are, if you've come into headstand and you're remaining there, enjoy headstand for a moment. And if you were practicing more of a floating variation, more challenging, more charged for the abdomen, then you can experiment with those variations. Wherever you are, just stay for the last few moments. Beautiful. Excellent. Just knowing that you have a beautiful tool for support, no matter what level you're working on that day. Excellent. When you feel ready to break the pose, come out very slow and controlled and come into child's pose, whether you're sitting on the wheel or if it's just behind, resting here. Roll the spine up. Come to a comfortable seated position on the heels. Good. And let's take it one last time on the back. So legs come in front, come to the top of the mat, and it's really nice to revisit. Sometimes when you use the wheel, it's not necessary to do a great variety of postures, because depending on what you need, you might want to revisit after you've warmed up. So we'll revisit some of the warm-ups and see how it feels, if it feels any different, and take it a little further. All right, lawn chair, sitting upright, plenty of room behind you on the mat. Take that breath in and just lean back, trusting the wheel. Maybe feel the heart is opening, the shoulders naturally more open. And just one breath here with the arms sweeping overhead. And here you can take Kali Mudra or hold the head. Go ahead, rock and roll again. Notice any difference in sensation. Of course, you can bring the feet a little closer and do that full body stretch where the knees come beyond the toes. And then from here, bringing that neck onto the wheel. Any variation, maybe you come down into the beach chair first, And then go ahead, bending the elbows, hold on to the wheel and start to rock and roll back. Maybe the elbows towards the mat. Maybe just stretching through the legs. But here, if you can get the forearms down, take a reverse plank, really stretching through the legs, feeling the whole back body charging up. Break the pose, bring the seat down, let the arms come down. So just like we did before, resting in the beach chair. And let's go right into it. Remember, you can always reset, but if it's okay, you roll right into the lumbar release. So the wheel comes to the arch of the lower back, the shoulders relax, head relaxed, legs straight or bent. Just one moment here, really give in. Notice how it feels this time around. Now, with the knees bent, the feet planted, slowly tuck the chin towards the chest. Maybe getting the shoulders all the way down for that supported bridge pose variation. Interlacing the fingers inside or outside the wheel or holding the wheel. And once again, lift the legs straight up, supported shoulder stand. Open the legs and go ahead. Move the right toes down, the left toes up. You might even go beyond the midline. See how the hips are more warmed up, making big circles. Now from here, bring the legs wide like we had before. Draw the legs down towards one another, together. And then bend the knees once again. So return to that supported bridge pose. Here we're going to release the hands. You can always have the hands along the sides of the head, even come onto the top of the head once again. Bend the right knee and hold the top of the foot. The left hand can be down along the side for balance. So just visualize, you pull the top of the right foot onto the mat. From here, both hands are down along your sides, and you start to bring the right knee down towards the mat. Remember, the left foot is still planted. This is your control, and you can rock and roll here. Keep the head relaxed. You start to stretch really for the front of the right hip and the quadricep, even in the abdomen. When that feels good, then switch sides, releasing the right leg, bending the left knee, and bring the top of the foot down to the mat. You have both hands down along the sides, and you can just gently bring the left knee down maybe. But rock and roll here to feel any sensation of opening through the front of the left hip. If it's part of your practice today, you can either repeat that on both sides. If it feels good and you're comfortable, then see if you can bring the tops of both feet to the sides. So again, the toes are uncurled, tops of the feet down, both knees come down. Let's take a couch pose variation. Keep the head relaxed back and reach overhead into Kali Mudra. stretching through the front body, really opening completely. Good. To break the pose, just release the hands. Press through the hands so you can release the legs. And then go ahead slowly. Rolling your wheel from the bottom to the top. Support the head. We're even taking Kali Mudra. You can rock and roll between the shoulders on the way back up. Good. And when you've released the posture and you've come back to seated in your own pace, then go ahead. You start to lie down and really being mindful. You've been doing everything backwards. So lie down with control, with support, like you just got a chiropractic adjustment. And here we'll come into our final spinal twist. Then the elbows at your side like cactus arms. With the feet on the mat, press the lower back into the mat. Move the hips over to the right side, so you're a bit crooked. And here you can bring the knees towards the chest or even keep the feet on the mat. Just drop the knees over to the left. Maybe the gaze falls over to the right. And then slowly bring the gaze and the knees back through center. Remember the feet come down. Bring the hips back through center, then the hips over to the left side. Dropping the knees to the right. Either bringing the knees high up to the chest or keeping the feet down. Let the neck relax naturally. And then slowly break the pose, bring the gaze and knees through center. Realign the hips down on the mat. And here you can stretch the arms and legs straight up, rotating through the joints. And then charge the legs to the bottom corners of the mat. The palms face up, down along your sides. Tuck the shoulders beneath you. And let's take 3 natural relaxing breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth with pursed lips. Like you're blowing out candles. 2 more. In through the nose. out with pursed lips. One more. Here I invite you to stay resting, really letting the body settle and integrate with the movements that you've done today. When you do decide to get up, do so slowly, rolling to one side and pressing yourself up, being careful and considerate of the spine. Be sure to drink plenty of water today and every day to move anything that was awakened from the spinal fluid. For now, I thank you so much for sharing in this morning's Dharma Yoga Wheel practice. Have a beautiful rest of the day. Be receptive.